almost a week has passed since the new Perils and Paradise expansion came out, so now we can see what are the real best decks in Hearthstone right now. Hi, I'm Kris5 and I'm a Hearthstone streamer, coach, and YouTube content creator, so if you're serious about Hearthstone, drop a like and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget you can hire me for some Hearthstone coaching. And you can also support me on Patreon if you like. In this video, I'm gonna show you 5 of the best decks to hit Legend with, show you their mulligans, win rates, as well as some general tips so you better know how to play with and against those decks. But we will also check out all of the other working archetypes for each individual class, so stick around to the end. Now, let's check out the decks.
You are not prepared!
Before we get into the decks, I just want to remind you, we are getting nerfs in about like 9 days from now, so craft with caution. Anything you need to be crafting too many cards for, definitely think twice before you sink your hard-earned dust for it. We should be seeing nerfs, I'm assuming on Thursday next week, something along those lines. At least that's what the devs were saying before the expansion came out, that we will be having a little bit of a longer nerf window this time. And honestly, decks I am expecting to be getting nerfed would be maybe Demon Hunter with the Pirates, Shaman most probably, Unkiliax, I wouldn't be surprised if the Reborn gets lost. And also, obviously, Druid also is doing a little bit too crazy, so be careful with those. And who knows, maybe even Pally might get slapped for good riddance, because they're still doing hella strong, as you're about to see. The first deck on the list is actually gonna be frickin' Handbuff Paladin, and yeah, Handbuff Pally is still remaining quite a strong deck, at least from Diamond to Legend. I actually have seen quite a few of them in Top 1000 Legend as well. She does play around some of the nasty combo Druid nonsense, with cards like Custom Enforcer, as well as Razor Scale. Other than that, the deck is pretty standard stuff. We also have the new Sankazel location dude that gives plus attack and rush. And the more you buff this thing, that also makes the durability and the attack it can give a lot bigger. So if this thing becomes like a 5/10, it's actually gonna have 10 charges on the location once it attacked, as long as you've attacked into a 0 attack minion, that is. And it's also gonna be able to give plus attack depending on how much attack this thing has. So it could be more than 3 is what I'm trying to say. And also, don't forget, it also gives rush to the minion you give this to, so it can be pretty good card to be stabilizing with. The cool thing about Customs Enforcer is it basically ruins cards like Gift. Like if you're a warrior, for instance, and you're trying to brawl the Pally, it's gonna be a hard time for you because your brawl is actually gonna cost you 7 mana if you want to pull it through a gift. And also it ruins things like the Pupil, the 2/1 that remembers 3 spells and you get to pick one of them. It's also gonna make it into a +2. And also things like the drinks, the second part of the drink is gonna be +2 as well, so you get the picture. It's a very crappy card to be playing against if you're relying on some of those new cards. Same can be said for Razor Scale. Here it's much more straight to the point against Druids. You're not gonna allow him to play 0 mana Chalices even with What's-Her-Face Pirate. And yeah, the rest of the deck is straightforward Handbuff Pally, so really don't need to go too much into this one. You've seen this deck plenty of times to know what you're supposed to do and what you're supposed to do against it, so there's that. Matchup-wise, here's what the stats show. Surprisingly small sample size. This thing actually has plenty of games, like what the hell. Here's the variant I'm showing you, like above 1000 games. So that's a little bit weird. There's also this other variant of the list, by the way, that doesn't run some of the... Yeah, you can see they're not running Custom Enforcer as well as the Dragon, so it is a bit more consistent in drawing and whatnot, but it is gonna be worse against Druids and such. So if you're facing plenty of those, you might want to stick to this one. Really weird that this does not have enough sample size though, but as you can see, you are great against combo Druids. Same on the Diamond to Legend aspect. Yeah, apparently we don't have enough match stats for this, so I guess you're gonna have to take my word for it. So we could just check out a very populated Handbuff Pally list instead. Like, here's one, a little bit different, but it's gonna give us a good picture. And yeah, Ram Druid not great, Elemental Mage iffy, and Virus Warrior also not great. 50-50 against Shamans, the rest looks good. So yeah, climbing definitely shouldn't be too hard with it. As for the mulligan, here's what it looks like going first. You want to be curving out, you want to be getting the weapon. You definitely don't want to hold on to Amidas, it seems. Not many people would, myself included. Grim Street is okay, not that amazing. You're only gonna have like 2 free minions by the time you get get to play it, so it's kind of awkward. It's still something to do, but I wouldn't really hold on to it in most cases. Audio medic is not bad. You don't always need to get the lifesteal out of it for it to feel good. Like, you are going to be able to rush down some 1-2 pirates and whatnot with this, so that can be hot. Tempo Custom Enforcer could be a good thing, because it does have plenty of health, and if you actually give it Grim Street beforehand, it's going to be a free 6, so pretty nice. Dagger's plushie can be insane against some opponents. Gold banner is usually great, especially with a Righteous Protector. And the rest not so keepable, even though Muscle-Tron here and there could be okay. As for on the coin, it's really not much different. Leroy is not something I would normally hold on to. Yeah, I get it, you wanted to see all the buffs, but honestly with this deck you're not really that keen on killing the opponent with Leroy. Like, that's what the freaking deckhands are in here for. We actually have only a single deckhand in this one, by the way. Kinda weird, I didn't really notice that firsthand, but yeah, basically this guy is gonna be a lot easier to OTK the opponent with the help of things like your outfit tailor and whatnot, so I would definitely not straight up hold on to Leroy. Maggot is okay, plushie can be great, weapon can be nice. So yeah, you get the picture basically. Next up we also have a Flood Pally still doing very good, and I can attest to that. I will be giving you guys a video, maybe even a guide for it probably tomorrow. And yeah, this Flood Pally basically just runs a single new card, which is Gorgon Zormu, which works amazingly well for the deck. And the rest is literally the exact same thing we have come to know, love, and hate. Ziliax in here is the -1 with +1, nothing too fancy, like the tried, true, and tested deck basically. You have the trifecta good 1-drops, which you can pull off with the help of Boogie Down. You have Showdown, which combos amazingly well with Prismatic Beam and with the Sea Giant and with the Ziliax. And you have good buffs like Crusader Aura, Flash Sale. You have Hi-Ho, so you can fish out your Crusader Auras. You don't really have much other holy spells, it's just Boogie Down and 2 Crusader Auras, so keep that in mind. Don't expect too much out of the Hi-Ho, but it's still a good Divine Shield Idiot, so pretty good stuff. And yeah, you basically get to curve out quite well with this one, cheat out a lot of extra stats with the help of Showdown, and basically you get to punish all sorts of board-centric decks. Like, the moment they go a little bit wide on the board, you Showdown, Prismatic, maybe fit in a Ziliax and Sea Giant while you're at it before your Prismatic, and you get to overwhelm them very nicely. Gorgon Zormu helps you big time on that front, by the way. You get to have a 2-mana cheese that basically discounts your Sea Giants by 3, and that can be a massive play like that. But yeah, all around, again, pretty straightforward deck, which we have seen plenty of to know how to play with. Matchup-wise, here's what it shows. Literally everything is green, aside from Virus Warriors, so if you're not facing too many of those, this would be the deck for you. Although dicks are also gonna be dicks for you, so there's that. Mulligan-wise, not really anything too fancy. We can see that Gorgon Zormu is not bad, even going first. Same can be said for Ziliax, he can be massive, especially if you have Showdown. Like, just imagine Showdown, and if you already have a minion and the opponent maybe has a minion, your Showdown idiots become 4/4s with Rush, and you get to kill his, and you're left with a bunch of 4/1s and a 3/5 on the board that the opponent wants to kill. So that can be pretty massive. You do want still to have at least one good 1-drop. Try not to hold more than that, because in the end of the day, that's what Boogie Down is in here for. Gold Banner ain't bad. Depending on the matchup, Prismatic Beam might be a consideration, even though you're going first here, so it's a little bit iffy. Mining Casualties ain't bad. Showdown can be good. Muster ain't bad. Hi-Ho is decent. And it's usually pretty much that's about it. Righteous could be a good keep, especially if you have a gold banner, however, so don't sleep on that option. As for on the coin, we can see the Showdown is a lot better here. Same can be said for Prismatic Beam, honestly, and heck, even the Sea Giants become a bit more keepable, but try to be holding on to it with a hand that actually supports it. Like, let's say if you already have a Showdown, yeah, you could think about a Sea Giant as well. Flash Sale can be an okay keep to play on turn 3, potentially with other 2 minions already. Gorgon Zormu is still fine. Boogie Down can be okay. Hi-Ho is not horrible. Gold Banner is also still acceptable. It still drops an idiot on the board that draws you a card, so not that bad. And one of the 1-drops, if you don't have any, is still acceptable, but obviously the Miracle Salesman is best, unless you already have a Gold Banner in hand, in which case the Divine Shield Righteous could be better. For other good pally lists, it's basically a bunch of iterations of hand buff, mining, and flood pally. We can see Lynessa at the bottom as well, but she is nowhere near as good as she was supposed to. Like, here's a 50-ish% win rate Lynessa deck, and here's an absolute dog shit of a deck. And the rest is what I already told you about, so that's it about pally. Moving down on the number 3 spot, we have Pirate Shaman, and this is the deck I actually brought to top 95 Legend, which is something I haven't done in quite a while. The deck worked amazingly well in my meta. I've tried doing some coaching with this afterwards. It kind of curved out a lot more poorly than I knew it to curve out. It is definitely far from the most straightforward deck out there. Definitely would advise you to check out my guide and gameplay video with it. But yeah, all around in the early turns, you're trying to curve out with some of the pirates. Not to lose too much tempo, and in the mid game you could be zerging the board with a little bit of backstage bouncer action. It's pretty nice. Gorgon Zormo giving you the cheese is pretty good. You could also do some nasty stuff with Carefree Cookie. And the cool thing about the Adrenaline Fiend in here is you can get massive amounts of damage with the help of the location as well as the sigil. If you already have an equipped Horn of the Windlord, maybe you set up a sigil, a location, and afterwards you put down the Adrenaline Fiend, or heck even two, and they're still blasting with the pirates, and this thing is gonna make you some massive weapons like that. That can be pretty cool. Wave of Nostalgia can be pretty clutchy, and don't forget you could be using this to transform the opponent's Unkiliacs, and that way they don't have a dead Unkiliacs for them to revive with Hydration Station and whatnot, so that can be hella good. But yeah, really do check out my guide, because there I talk about most of these things in detail. Matchup-wise, here's what it shows so far, and everything is pretty green aside from some of them Death Knights. Definitely Death Knight felt like a wonky matchup, but everything else is pretty doable, including Virus, which is gonna be a 50-50. As for the mulligan, here's what the stats show at least. You are curving out with the early game minions. Gorgon Zormo and Ziliax feel pretty fine. The weapon is not something I would normally keep. Pop-up book could be acceptable, especially if you already have something like a Treasure Distributor. Sigil is pretty nice. Carefree Cookie could be a keep if you already have a hand that supports it. And if I'm against the warrior, I might even straight up hold on to Wave of Nostalgia, cause Unkiliacs. As for on the coin, it's not much different. Still want to be curving out with the good stuff, but here even Galganef is somewhat of a keep. Not very much, but some people do enjoy it. For other good Shaman decks, you can actually see Elemental Shaman also being quite up there. There's several different iterations of this weapon Shaman as well. Some are abusing pirates more than others, some are abusing swarm tactics. Here's the Elemental Shaman I was talking about. Pretty easy deck to be playing with. It's decent, 57%, 10,000 games, definitely nothing to scoff at, and it's literally the dumbest deck I've played. Like, it's super easy to pilot, just play an Elemental and profit. Nature Shaman is still something people in top Legend are abusing, but it's really not as amazing for lower rank people. Like, you really gotta know your shit with that one to make it work, so do be advised. There's also some Shutter Block nonsense with Hagata and whatnot. Not a very reliable deck it seems, however, so be careful playing too much with those. Moving down to the number 4 spot, we actually have Zarimi Priest, surprisingly. I didn't really see too many Zarimi Priests out there, but I did notice in Top Legends some people have been doing well with it. And right now this deck also is listed as 60% plus with almost 1,000 games for the last 3 days, so it is definitely one of the better decks out there. Zarimi Priest is definitely not very newbie friendly though, so I don't know how much I should be advising you to play with this thing. But I am going according to the stats here after all, so I should be showing it still. And here, it's basically the same old Zarimi Priest, but we do have some good support with things like Chillin' Vol'jin, which this is the Tourist, which allows it also to include Sasquatch in here, which can help you big time. The trusty Fishing Rod is also in here, so you can fish out some of those dragons, some Crimson Clergy, some Miracle Salesmen and whatnot. Gorgon Zormo still makes the cut here. And that's about it for the new stuff. We have -1/+1 for the Ziliax, again, nothing surprising there. And it's a Zarimi Priest, like, you know how to play that, right? Right? Well, if you don't have a very new guide about it, but I still had something lying around not too long ago. But yeah, you curve out usually with the good dragons and whatnot. You can draw tons of cards with Crimson. You can cheat out extra mana with Funnel Cake, which also helps you drop thirsty Drifters a lot sooner. The Dreamboat helps you with big stats as well as big card draw with this thing. You can draw your dragons with Scale Replica, including Zarimi and the Clay Matriarch. Magatha helps you with the draw. You still do have a few spells in here, like Power Chord, Replica, and Funnel Cake, so be careful with Magatha here and there. But yeah, all around, against aggro decks, you just tempo them a bunch. Against control decks, it might come down to OTKing them with the help of Zarimi, like a well-timed Zarimi. With actually a massive board to go with it, definitely goes a long way against these guys, but with the Ankyliaxes and whatnot nowadays, it might not be so easy, so it is gonna be somewhat of a challenge, really, taking this deck to its max potential. Matchup-wise, we don't really have that much stats, but as you can see, Combo Druid is gonna be fine, so if you're facing too many of those, it might be the deck for you. As for the mulligan, here's what the stats show. It is gonna be very different depending on what you already have in your hand, but you can get a decent picture out of this. And as for on the coin, here's what it looks like again. Kind of similar, honestly. For other good priest decks, I have been seeing some overheal priests here and there. Not doing that amazing though. Highlander priest is also up there apparently. Very small sample size, but then again it's Highlander, so how big could it be? There's another Zarimi priest doing a lot worse here with a pretty big sample size. This one is with the amalgam. It's also running this razor scale, which is kind of weird because you do have plenty of cheap stuff here, but I guess you can end your turn with this thing against the druid, even though druid seems to be your best matchup anyway, so why bother going with this thing in the first place? Automation priest doesn't seem that amazing, and I don't even see overheal priest, huh? Here's some weird other iteration of priest, but not that amazing for sure. And on the last spot, we still have Pirate Demon Hunter doing nice and strong. This one is actually the weird kind with the Tourist as well as self-damaging stuff like Acupuncture and Brain Masseuse. With silly cards like this, you can be doing massive amounts of damage with the help of Arana, because Acupuncture actually is going to be dealing 8 damage for only 1 mana with the help of the Tourist. This thing is going to be taking the massive damage thanks to the Tourist, and the rest is basically a bunch of pirate stuff and a bunch of attack stuff. Like, we even have the Coconut Cannon here in this one. That's kind of weird. I've noticed not many lists actually care for this card too much. Cozen is in here as well, a little bit of card draw with Paraglide. Aziliax again is +1, -1. Kane is in here, so you can deny some Ankyliax bullshit. But all around, again, it's a somewhat straightforward deck. There are a lot more other straightforwarder decks. Yes, that's proper English, trust me on that one. Like, I guess this one is still not super straightforward, but yeah, I'm gonna show you what other decks are working for the class a little bit later. As for the matchups, everything here listed is green, so that's pretty good, including Virus Warrior, which is nice. And as for the mulligan, let's go over it quickly. Here's what it looks like. Brain Masseuse seems to be pretty fine. Sock Puppet pretty good. Hosen awfully hot here. With the location, it could do some stuff, but going first, it's a little bit of a niche keep. The weapon is good. Patches is great. Sigil should still be acceptable. Treasure Distributor going first shouldn't be too bad either. And as for going second, it's gonna be pretty much of the same stuff. So yeah, mulligan accordingly. As for other good decks, like I said, we have far more traditional decks than this Pirate Demon Hunter. Seems like Pirate Demon Hunter has been falling off, by the way. Like, look at this. For the last 3 days, top 1 Diamond to Legend. It's the Acupuncture variant is actually working a lot better, it seems. Here's the other traditional Pirateer Demon Hunters. We also have some lists running Sea Giants and whatnot. Shopper Demon Hunter is still somewhat playable, not as amazing obviously. And Sharpshooter Demon Hunter, it's not all it's cracked up to be. Some pros have been screaming it's gonna be amazing. So far it ain't, or it's a skill issue. For the classes we haven't mentioned, starting off with Death Knight, we do have several pretty decent Death Knights out there right now, honestly. I did show you a pretty decent list yesterday, so you can check that one out as well. I think it was this one pretty much. And yeah, Death Knight right now is pretty good against most aggro decks, so you can be farming those quite nicely. It's decent against Ankyliaxes because you can actually Reska steal some of their stuff and whatnot. I have seen some iterations of Plague DKs out there. Excavate DK apparently is a thing still, but yeah, so far it's mostly the control-y mid-rangey type. With Druids, honestly, I could have included Combo Druid in this one. If we were talking about top 1000 meta report, Combo Druid is arguably the best deck there, like probably the best deck there. Actually, my Shaman, not my Shaman, but the Shaman I used last time, the one I actually did show you, I'm the player with the highest rank playing that thing, so that's kind of hot. But other than that, Combo Druid definitely is a close second best here. Not close, actually, 2% difference there, pretty cool. But yeah, the Combo Druid and top 1000 is definitely cracked up. You can check out my guide about it and whatnot. As for other good Druid decks, we also have the Hydration Legion variant with Doomkins. Pretty good stats, 8,000, 59 win rate, pretty decent stuff. We have also other different iterations of those two. There's also Treant Druid. I wouldn't really expect that much out of this one, however. I mean, it does curve out quite well, honestly, but it's pretty old news. Literally not a single new card in this one, huh? But yeah, if you're planning on playing Druid, it's usually gonna be the combo OTK kind, and the other combo with the D-Ramp and whatnot. For Hunter, I honestly could have included Secret Hunter in here, but the problem is it literally doesn't have any new cards, so what's the point? We have been seeing this list over and over again. It's gonna work best against lower skill people, cause in top 1000 Legend, people just know how to play around the secrets most cases, so it's not really that scary. There's also Spell Token Hunter doing okay. Not very popular. There's also this weird Marin and Sasquatch action going. It's still a Spell Token Hunter, however, so there's that. Bunch of other secrets, and Buffet Hunter, not exactly anything to write home about, and Amalgam Hunter is not even on the menu. With Mage, Elemental Mage surprisingly is the best bet. Again, pretty simple deck, like the Elemental Shaman kind of deal. 59%, 24,000 games, damn son. This is basically a free deck, by the way, like literally not even a legendary in here, is there? Very cheap stuff. And with the new Lamplighter, you can definitely do massive amounts of damage. I guess that's why we also have the Saloon Brewmaster in here. And we also have Spell Mage doing not decent. It's doing something alright, like 10,000 games, but only 52%. Not exactly amazeballs. So I guess you should be sticking with Elemental. For Rogues, again, Elemental Rogue seems to be the best bet. We also can see some mining rogues here and there. It's gonna be doing a lot better in top 1000 Legend, where people actually know how to play the deck. Other than that, it's just iterations of these two, and Wishing Rogue is still apparently a thing, but it's not amazing. For Warlocks, Pain Warlock is honestly probably the best one, but apparently Sludge Warlock has been doing somewhat okay. Very small sample size, pretty good win rate, but wouldn't really trust these stats too much, not with the sample size to back it up. Here's a very supported sample size Pain Warlock, 58%, 14,000 games. It's pretty strong. I do have a video covering very close to this one deck, so you might want to check that one out. Insanity Warlock, not all that it's cracked up to be, huh? A lot worse results than it used to, and the Death Rattle Token Warlock is absolute shit. And lastly we have Warrior, where Virus Warrior definitely does seem to be the best bet, but surprisingly Highlander Warrior has been taking the #1 spot with a very small sample size, however, so this Warrior is probably your best bet still. In top 1000 I have been seeing a little bit more Highlander, I think, but the straight up Virus Warrior is probably still better, and we have several different iterations for you to choose from. So that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Hope this helps you figure out what you want to be playing for the rest of the season, as well as in the beginning of the new one. And also, if you enjoyed the video, drop a like and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget you can hire for some Hearthstone coaching. Thanks for watching. I'm Kris05, and I'll see you in my next video or stream.